the entire value chain of that business. We're looking at the raw materials, inbound logistics, and everything that helps you make your product. For service, we're looking at your operation, which is where you make or manufacture your service. We're So Anna is that person that you can ask any question from. When you download the app on your Android or on your iPhone and you install the app Ask Hannah, you can begin to ask any kind of question that you want to ask. How do I distribute my product in supermarkets? How do I fix my pricing problem? How do I move my product in the north or in the south? How do I promote my product? Should I be using social media? Should I be using billboard? Should I use radio? Should I use TV? Who should I speak to? So there are a lot of information and a lot of knowledge that you need to support you to do well with your business. Ask Hannah has provided everything for you. Just go up there, install, and then ask any question, and the answer would be relayed to you immediately. And if you feel that beyond those free question and answer chats that you're going to have with Ask Hannah, you feel that you still want to go deeper, you can actually request to have a session with Anna, the marketing director and the sales director, and she will be able to supply you with more information. SMEs are extremely important in any economy. They provide the most employment in any economy, and therefore it is important to support SMEs. And that is where Ask Hannah is there to support SMEs when it comes to marketing knowledge and sales.
Hello, my name is Hannah Oibanjo, and I'm very excited to introduce you to something that will grow your business. It's an application. I've interacted with entrepreneurs in over 3 decades of experience working with multinationals and local organizations dealing with sales and marketing commercial issues. How do I grow my business? What are the strategies for growth? How do I know if I'm going to sell more of these products? How can I increase the customers that come to buy? Oh, they bought, they're not buying again. How can I get to the big watches? Oh, I'm not even sure I'm profitable. How do I understand my profit and loss? These and many more questions required. And quickly, I introduce you to a quick fast solution right on the buttons of on your computer or your system or your phone, both on Android or on iOS. Introducing Ask Anna to you. Ask Anna is an application. It's a bot AI-enabled app, but it's beyond AI because you have the opportunity of interacting with experts such as Anna and other experts. So you have your sales and marketing projects. You don't have to run too far. You are meeting with marketing directors at little or nothing, and your solutions will be right there at your fingertips.
In business, there are certain things that the business manager needs to be conscious of. You're running a business, you are conscious of the entire value chain of that business. You're looking at the raw materials, inbound logistics, and everything that helps you make your product or service. You're looking at your operation, which is where you make or manufacture your service. You're looking at the outbound logistics, which is how you move your products out to the market. You're looking at marketing and sales, which is how, when the product gets to the market, you want the consumer to buy and pick up the product. And then at the end, you're looking at the services that you offer to support the product. In this entire realm, marketing is very important, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. If you are a big business, you have the luxury of firming out a lot of this work to consultants and other people who can work for you. As an SME, most of the time you don't have this luxury. And that is why when you look at marketing, especially, which is a very critical part of your business as an SME, because
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ask Anna's very first SME community meeting of the year. My name is Fikayomi, and I am the community manager for Ask Anna. Please, if you're just signing in, can you let us know where your name and where you are signing in from? So my name is Fikayo, and I am joining from Osogbo, Osun State. So we can just continue in that level. You can use the chat box below. Okay, hi Kelechi from Lagos. Hi Omolara from Lagos. Hi Blossom from Lagos. If you can also add what we do, our business, because we're business owners. I would love to know what you do, what service you offer best. We are going to be starting very shortly, but I just want to be sure that we're all tuned in and connected. It seems like we have a lot of people from Lagos. Very nice to meet you, Oyinkansola from Lagos. Okay, so while we are still networking and trying to meet each other, let me just say welcome once again to our community meeting for Ask Anna, and our topic for the day, which we're going to be speaking on, is protecting your business identity 101. Yes, protecting your business identity. Everything about how you can secure your businesses or your brand's identity, from your trademarks to your logos to the legal procedures. It can be very overwhelming, especially as business owners just starting out. So this is why we are going to be speaking about it. So before we introduce our guest, I'm just going to be stating some house rules so that we get the best out of this community meeting. So please, once you join the meeting, please remain mute throughout the entire meeting. You are allowed to use the chat box, and also if you have probably any questions during the Q&A section, you can just use the raise hand button. And also you're very much allowed to type during the chat box during discussions or lectures. Probably you have questions that you want to type out, or there's a point that our speaker said that just resonated with you and you want to share it with others. And yes, and you can also use your the chat box to drop your information like we're doing right now. Probably you want someone to connect with you on LinkedIn during or after the meeting. You are very much free to use that. And I would be okay. Thank you very much. I think we all got that. So we just go straight into the community meeting, and I will be reading the profile of our esteemed guest. Mrs. Laide Adeyemo is a legal practitioner of over 26 years, post-call, and a chartered secretary administrator of Nigeria. She's an intellectual property expert and provides IP services to both local and international businesses. She has varied and practical experience in providing support and structure to businesses across Nigeria in the area of compliance, corporate governance, and best practices. She's the managing director of JCS Client Services Limited, where she oversees the process of governance, compliance, and business support to businesses. Her area of expertise also spans across giving support to NGOs and public sector funded entities. She endeavors to create, structure, and support businesses and organizations with the aim of achieving commercial, ethical, and sustainable objectives. Through her professionalism and dedication to work, she acts as a one-stop shop for her clients' needs throughout Africa, as well as providing tailor-made solutions to them. She was the editor-in-chief for the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSSAN Lagos chapter from 2021 to 2023, where she produced the flagship annual magazine. She's also a member of the International Trademarks Association, INT. She's very passionate about the growth and success of businesses, and she loves being able to help those in need of support and structure. She's a volunteer at Faith Foundation. I don't know if because we bear the same name, but my little interaction with her, she's an amazing person. So if we can use the chat box with emojis, claps, heart shapes, and cheers, please let's make welcome Mrs. Laide Adeyemo.
Welcome, madam. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fikayo, and thank you, Ask Anna, for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure to be here to, discuss together and to look at issues confronting us. Thank you so much. Without much ado, we'll go straight into the reason why we are here, and I'll be sharing my screen just immediately so that we would really understand what it is that we're talking about. Please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Okay, thank you so very much. So the topic that we're looking at today is protecting your business identity, trademarks, registrations, and brand ownership 101. That's what we'll be looking at today, and it's a means on empowering. It's an empowering session on immediate steps for businesses like yours and mine to secure our identity and to understand the long-term benefits of brand protection. That's why we want to, in the next 40 minutes, that's what we'll be looking at now. So, and I'd like for you to please give me your attention. I promise it will be interactive and very pragmatic because there will be no need for us to come together and discuss when we cannot practicalize or understand what we're talking about. So this will be our table of content. How do we protect our business identity right from the first day? For those of us who are yet to have any business, and for those of us who already have business, it's not too late for us to be able to. And we want to understand the key legal tools, the legal foresight, what can go wrong when legal steps are ignored, and the legal registrations, the role of IP protections, and the types of IP protection that refers to you and your brand ownership, common legal pitfalls, and of course, cases, real life cases that is, currently happening. So I said, what is a brand? What actually is a brand? What would you call a brand? And if we look at the acronym of the word brand, B will go for a blueprint. That is an idea of what you want to do, something that you have conceived in your mind, a blueprint of what you want to do. And then R will go for relationship. Your brand must be relatable. It must be based on thoughts, relatable to people. People must be able to relate with it. Then it's an agreement between you, the owner of the brand, and the customer that is, seeing your brand or identifying your brand. And then nature. A brand, like this says, is in the interest nature of your business. What kind of business do you do? Is it a product? Is it a service? What do you actually offer? And the D finally will be distinctive. We must be able to identify your brand from that of another. If two of us are selling Gary, for example, the way I package mine or the way I sell mine must be different from the way that Fikayo sells ours. Even though we might share the same surname, but there must be something that must distinct mine from hers. So we said that a brand is an identifier. I must be able to identify. I must be able to say, this is mine and this is yours. So a brand is a distinct identity of a company, a product, a service in the mind of consumers. There's a reason why I go for Ask Anna and I don't go for Ask Kelechi. It's a sum of all the perceptions and associations a customer has with a particular entity, including the name, the logo, values, and overall reputation. This brings to mind my mother of blessed memory. When she was alive, she would always want peak milk. You can't give my mom anything short of peak. And even with that peak, you had better be careful if it is the one made in Holland, not the one made in Nigeria. So there was a connection, with what the product was and what she wanted. So a brand is to identify the source of satisfactory or unsatisfactory quality of goods or service. If I encounter you and I do not I do not get value for my money or for my time, it would really immediately tell me that I should not go for this brand the next time I'm looking for something to buy, or the next time I need a service. And the same way, you also make your choices with banks and other service providers. So brands are full indications of the source of goods, which assist us as customers in our purchasing decisions. The brand is a marketing tool and as an identifier of the owner of goods or services. So how do we protect right from the day one, right from the very first day? And it is that what actually, we said that the B is the blueprint. So what actually am I thinking of? What actually am I doing? What service do I want to provide? And that will tell what kind of business structure I need to go for. Do I want to go solo, or do I want to invite people so that we are in a partnership, or do I want something that I would absorb myself from? And the law in Nigeria provides that every business operating in Nigeria or wishes to operate must be registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission. That is the body that oversees the registration of businesses. Let me put it that way. And it says that a business name must also be registered within 28 days of commencement of business. So there are different business structures, different types of registration. There is the business name, which I know some of us already have, or we call it sole proprietorship. There is a limited liability company. There is partnership. There is limited liability partnership. And there is incorporated trustees when you talk about the NGOs. And then there is company limited by guarantee. We're going to quickly look at this type of businesses and what advantages or disadvantages they may have so that it will help us in our decision. Number one, the business name. Now, advantages of business name is very cost effective, it's very cheap to register. You have the sole control of the business. Direct benefit of all profits comes to you. And then you have the control of capital inflow. But the disadvantages, unlimited liability for losses or debt. If anything should happen, you bear everything by yourself. So responsibility for providing the assets and the capital for the business. The ride or fall of the business lies solely on you. It's a one-man dependency risk. And then that's where you see that the business money is flowing into personal money is flowing into business money. There's no clear-cut division. And the succession rate is very, very low. Non-continuity, because you are the A and the Z of the business. Now, limited liability company. PAMA 2020 has provided for a one-man directorship. So if you want to incorporate a company, a one-man directorship, but in practical terms, what we advise people is at least be minimum of 2. Why? The one-man directorship cannot have a meeting. A man cannot have a meeting with himself. So a one-man directorship is sort of being a sole proprietor. It's just that it is called a company. It's multiple owners for a limited liability, access to different types of funding avenues. An investor will never invest in a business name, neither will an investor invest in a company with one director. Now, a limited liability is separate from the identity of the owner. The company is a legal, person, and the owners are person on their own. So we have legal and we have natural. So they're separate. So it's not possible for the monies to mix because the company will have its own account. Then there is low incidence of non-succession. The succession is, it's very clear. Of course, that also will borders on corporate governance when you put succession policy in place. And then there is also professional look for the business that gives you good reputation. The disadvantage with limited liability is, of course, subject to taxes, the laws, the regulations, and all of that in the sector that you play. And then maybe slower decision-making process because there will be hierarchy, or maybe decision has to be by the board. You cannot by yourself, take decision. And some people you could ask to say that, why do I have to have people on my board? Because there's always a misconception that you think that when you have people on your board, they are coming to collect salary. They are coming to steal my company from me. No, that is not it. You have to think, even if you've not gotten to that level yet, you can have an advisory board. People that will be of like mind, that will want to hold your hands and put you through. Then the other type of business is partnership, limited partnership or limited liability partnership. It's self-regulated. Liability is shared among the partners. It is easy to set up. Joint fundraising is a separate entity from the partners. And the disadvantage is it might be difficult to divest, and it is easy to dissolve in the event of disagreement or death of a partner. So, having looked at the various businesses that we have, how do we now want to start? We've made our choice of which one that we want to do. And it's just like you want to build a house, you must look at the foundation. If the foundation is not strong enough, you know that it will come crumbling down. So register your business name or your company and secure your intellectual property rights early. A lot of people make mistakes because intellectual properties are intangible. They're not things that you can see or hold physically, but yet they are assets. They are very, very, very veritable assets that are very costly. And we're going to see. So you think beyond the name. You protect the logo, protect the slogans, the packaging, the designs, the inventions, and the unique brand elements. Monitor your brand. After you might have even protected it, you need to monitor it to be sure that nobody is. And we're going, as we go along, we're going to see how your brand can be diluted and that nobody is even infringing on your brand. And it is only a brand that is registered that can be infringed upon. A brand that is not registered, the best that you can do in coming against the person who is using it is probably the common law passing off. So what are the steps to protect your brand? Register your business, ensure it's legally recognized wherever you are operating, protect your key brand elements, your name, your logo, your tagline. Today, I was just sending to one of our clients, oh, I saw a tagline that from being used by their company, and I just told him, you need to protect this. Monitor and enforce. Don't just register and go to sleep. Regularly check from time to time, unauthorized use and take legal action if necessary. When you don't protect your brand, you risk the loss of ownership because incidentally, the way it is in Nigeria and some other places is that it is the first to file, except you can prove that you have been the one using this, and that would be a lot on you because you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Your reputational damage will be at risk because, for example, the example I gave with respect to two of us processing the same garri, and I did not register my own, and she's gone ahead to register hers, and she's leveraging on my goodwill, but she's not producing up to the standard of what I produce. The customers out there, remember we said that your brand is an identifier. And of course, it will go to financial loss because rebranding after a trademark dispute can be very, very costly, I tell you, and legal battles can drain resources. So let's understand the key legal tools, just like we have said, your CAC registration, trademark registration, copyright and other IP protections, your patents and designs as well. So what types of registrations are available? Business name registration, we are all familiar with that. It protects our business name, with our local authorities, but it is not your brand protection. It will not protect your brand. Your company registration only provides legal status to your company as a legal entity, but it will not give you proprietary rights. A company can exist based on one registration as a legal status, but it can have several IP registrations for its growth. Because as you grow as a company and you discover new things to protect your company, it is always good for you to protect either that brand or that creation or that tagline or that slogan, for example. So you need to take steps to meet your legal obligations. It might be, like a management brain app, but only fulfilling your minimum requirements will result in opportunities. So your compliance in business is not just, let me just do it for what it's worth. No, you will see how important it is. So you need to understand the reasons for the various rules and the laws and the regulations that will govern your business. And you need to take advantage of this so that you can remain compliant. So staying compliant will help you attract investors. I keep saying this because if we plan to grow and we don't want to remain small and we want to attract investors, then we need to set the right structure. We need to put everything in place so that our businesses will go the long haul, so that there will be sustainability in our businesses. I had a session last week and I was telling them that one of the things that resonates with me is when I was growing up, I grew up in Ibadan. We used to know Odutola Tires. Whenever you were passing there, it was a big company, giant, and whatever. But where is it today? It's gone. It's no more. There is no sustainability. In Nigeria, there are myriads of regulatory agencies that an SME should be aware of. Of course, CAC for business name. If you are operating business and you are doing it under your roof, under the house, and it is not registered, even as much as having a business name, then you have not started. You are just doing, permit the use of my word, cover business. NAFDAC is there if you are into anything that has to do with juice or edibles, drinks or pharmaceuticals or anything, you require NAFDAC. Then the Nigerian Trademark Registry, which is the part of government that is involved in registering your IP. Then NIRA, that is the Nigeria, it's responsible for domain names. If you have a website, you want to register a website, then NIRA is the one. Then SMEs for SMEs, NCC, the FCCPC, the NIPC, NOTAB, then the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance. I know, and NCC, I know you tell me that there are a whole lot. Unfortunately, this is where we find ourselves, and we just have to do what is required. So these agencies, they implement laws and enforce laws with regard to the ease of doing that. So regarding IP, which is the thrust of what we're talking about this evening, there are compulsory compliance requirements. And there are some classes that are very, very, they're very, very inundated with applications because of compliance. For example, if you are into drinks and whatever, you require NAFDAC. And before you can get NAFDAC, you have to, on the minimum, have had your logo or your name or your brand at least examined and accepted. Because in your processing of NAFDAC, you will need notice of acceptance. And notice of acceptance is issued from the Trademark Registry. So classes 3, or if you are into soap making and things like that, or skin cream and things like that, classes 3 and 5, they have to do with a whole lot. And those classes, they are so inundated with a lot of applications. So here we are, intellectual property. What is intellectual property? If we want to break down the word, intellect, the property of my intellect, that is the creation of my mind, what I have come up with. And what we tell clients is when you conceive it, you have created it by your intellect. The next thing is to protect it. The next thing is to work it. And what we mean by working it is experimenting it, seeing that it is good, it is okay, before you now go to the markets. But what we see that often happens with entrepreneurs is that once they conceive it, they jump to the market. They skip these two. And the problem with that is that by jumping to the market straight after conceiving it, one, you have not worked it, you have not tested it, you have not seen what could be added or how it could work, neither have you even protected it. Because Once it is something that is working, you are not the only one. Somebody else has seen it and somebody else has taken advantage of it and somebody else has gone ahead of you. Meanwhile, you are the one that conceived it. And at the end of the day, you'll be left with nothing. So that's why after conception, the next step is protection. And why does this matter? And he said, you have built a brand. You have worked on it. You have tweaked it here and there. You have even gone to the market to sell. Everybody is, you are the raving fan. Everybody loves your product. Only for you to wake up and to see that somebody else has gone behind your back and has registered it. And you now begin to wonder what is happening. And you now realize that you cannot use that name again. This is the reality of a lot of us. This is the reality of, many entrepreneurs. So what are intellectual property rights? Like I said earlier on, is an asset, although it's an intangible asset. It's just like your phone, that is an asset. Every one of us got it. We don't want it to fall down. We don't want it to break. We don't want anybody to steal it. So why don't we guard our IP? Because it is the exploitation of your mental or creative labor. So to that extent, it is personal and it is worth protecting. It's everything that you or your business stand for. It is everything that you and your employees you have created, the brand. And you see, more often than not, that we always advise there must be a nexus between the brand people and the legal people of any organization. Because when they're not seeing eye to eye, the brand people will just go ahead, not knowing that there is a legal bottleneck somewhere. Meanwhile, the company will have gone ahead. So your intellectual property rights are created as economic mechanism to facilitate your ongoing innovations by granting inventors a temporary monopoly in return for disclosure of technical know-how. Because you created it, you should be able to earn. And when I say earn, now monetary value from what you have created. And it covers a lot of areas. It includes your creative and intellectual output. If it has been created or invented and it is of commercial value, then it will count as intellectual property. It ranges from your literary or artistic work, that is people who write books and articles, illustrations, photos, movies, music, to names, logos, symbols, slogans. The intellectual property will not protect any idea in isolation. Oh, I have this idea of how to make somebody's hair when the person is sleeping. No, it has to be an invention that is in a fixed form. It has to be something that has been expressed in an expressed form. And it is involved in the value chain that drive businesses. And, investors, I keep saying, everybody wants to scale. Investors will only go after SMEs who value their IP rights. And, they have protected it from the start of their business. So your IP can be commercialized. Even if you don't want to use it, there are people that they create intellectual property assets, they create things, and they're not there, they sell it. They sell it to other people who use it, or they assign it, or they license it to third parties, and they get royalties from the use of it. So you don't just say that, I'm not using it again, it's not useful for me. You would, get money from it. So don't be careless about what you have. Your IP right is protected in law, which means that people can earn recognition of financial benefit from what they invent or create. So, different natures of intellectual property. you can see the major classifications there of intellectual property. You have the copyright, you have the patent, trademarks, and designs. These are the major classifications. There are others, but the major classification of IP rights, this is typically where, because the other ones are the trade secrets, and all the others. So intellectual property it confers exclusivity on the owner of the right. Once you register it, you have exclusivity. So nobody can just use it, or you cannot just say we are co-sharing. No. Because like I said, it's personal, it's a personal right. How many of us will co-share? They are by nature territorial. So the fact that I have registered my intellectual property in Nigeria does not mean that I have the right also in Ghana. No, it's territorial. So if my business is such that I have started exporting, and I dare say in this age of after AFCTA, it is good also as you expand. Before you get to that market, it's good that you ensure that you protect. Basically, also because our borders, especially our West African borders, they are very porous. I could buy something in Nigeria and take it along with me to Ghana, and somebody sees it and say, "Oh, really? This thing is nice." I will go and do the same. And I'll be undercutting the person who has it here in Nigeria. And intellectual property rights, they are governed by each country's legislation, because those rights, those products, the brands, the services, they are examined before they are approved. For cost saving, there are regional rights. There are those, that apply to English-speaking African countries, and there are those that applies to French-speaking African countries. There's a whole lot more with that, but I'm not going to delve much about that because we still have a lot to go. So, these regional filings might be effective, but then if yours is just in Nigeria, or you want to take baby steps, you can start nationally. So, understanding the four major IP rights that I showed earlier on. Copyright. Copyright, to be eligible for copyright, it has to be statutory work, it has to be original, and it has to be fixed in an expressive format. Like I said, the duration for copyright, you can imagine if you write a novel, is that it will be protected upon registration for the lifetime of the owner and 70 years after his death. So even your successors in title, they can still get something from what you have. Then, in case of films and recordings, it's protected for 50 years from the first publication. Then, if it is a patent, if it's an invention, it has to be new, it has to be of an inventive step and capable of industrial application. The duration of protection is 20 years. You have that exclusivity for 20 years. However, you have to renew annually. Then if it is a design, it is new, it is not contrary to public order or morality. It must be a design, and a pattern that is applicable into industrial process. And then the duration of that is 15 years. And that one is renewable every five years. So you can imagine the kind of commercial gain that you will have when you protect that which you have. But what we are focusing on majorly today is trademark. And that's where the meat of this discussion is going to dwell on. So your trademark, there are distinctive signs, there are graphics, there are logos, there are symbols, or combination of any of all of this. And for you to register your trademark, there is the international class. We call it NIS classification. There are 45 classes. We have 35. No, we have 34 classes for goods and 10 classes for services. So depending on what you're doing, it has to be registered in one of the services or all, if you so desire. So for a trademark in Nigeria, it is registrable for an initial period of 7 years, and it is now renewed after the first 7 years, you now renew for another 14 years and another 14 years. So for trademark, as long as you continue to renew, you have your right protected. So types of trademarks, we have traditional marks, of course, the word mark, like the Nike or any other mark. The way it could be in a device form, it could be in a way that you have stylized it. It could be figurative, it could be a mixture of word and logo, and generic marks, those ones cannot be trademarked. Every forerunner has become a Jeep now. So nobody can say it's going to register a Jeep or Indomie or Maggi. Every cube has become Maggi. Every noodle has become Indomie. Then words that are descriptive cannot be registered. Cold and creamy for ice cream. That is the description of that thing. So you cannot use that. Or words that are suggestive. But for example, Apple for a computer. So that is creative. That's creativity, in action, or invented words can register those ones. So the types of registration, like I said, it grants legal exclusive rights. I always hammer on that one. So if I have exclusivity to what I own, then I'm good. And we've looked at all the types of registration with respect to that. It gives you individual ownership, or it could be two of you owning it together, or it could be in the name of your company that you are owning it, or a franchise ownership or license. So why do we need all these legal jargons and everything that we're talking about? One, prevention is better than litigation, because early legal steps save money and stress. Then brand longevity. A protected brand can scale without fear of infringement. Then investor confidence. Like I said, the investor will prefer a business with secured intellectual property. What can go wrong when the legal steps are ignored? Loss of brand identity, because competitors can legally claim your name. Rebranding costs, having to change, having to design, having to, customer confusion. Now, these are common myths and mistakes. One, I have a domain name, so I'm protected. I already have my website. No, a domain name is not the same as your IP. I'm a small business. I don't need a trademark. No, if you plan to grow, which is the desire of everybody, you need your protection now. Trademarks are too expensive, but the cost of not protecting your brand is far greater. We're going to look at a few cases. I'm sure a lot of us have heard about this. If you have heard about it, let me see your comments in the comment section. Zap Africa versus Paystack. I'm sure a lot of us know about it. So what happened? Paystack launched a mobile app called Zap to facilitate faster and more reliable bank transfers in Nigeria. And Zap Africa, a cryptocurrency exchange, had been operating under the name Zap for 3 years and claimed to have a trademark for the name. So there was a dispute. Zap Africa alleges that Paystack's use of Zap is causing brand confusion, and of course it is, and violating their trademark. Zap Africa has initiated a legal action to protect its brand identity and prevent Paystack from using the Zap name. Paystack claimed to have done due diligence prior to filing its application for Zap. So what are the lessons? Excuse me. First to file. Like I told you, Nigeria operates the first to file rule. There needs classification. It could be that truly Paystack did a due diligence, but Zap probably did not register in the required class for the service that they were providing. They did not get a good lawyer to advise them to know the right class, because your trademark must be registered in respect of particular goods or classes of goods or service. And if you feel that this mark is so important to me, I don't even want anybody to come near it at all, then you file a defensive mark registration that can be in all classes. And then, like I said, make sure you file your trademark before you launch your brand, because you will have spent a lot of money in launching, and that could be disastrous. So, if you don't check for existing trademarks before you launch a brand, there will be a problem. Assuming a domain name or social media handle equals a trademark protection, that is a legal misstep. They are not the same. If you fail to renew your trademarks also, some people, they actually file, but they can't even file the document. They've even forgotten. They don't even know where it is, talk less of saying they want to renew. Then, proactive steps to avoid legal pitfalls. If you're a company or even a business and you know you must file your annual returns, that one is with respect to your business now. Now, you have to conduct a trademark search before choosing a business name, so that you will not be caught up along the way that your name is similar to somebody's name or a name that's already on the register. Then you have to register your trademarks early to prevent disputes. You have to use contracts to protect your brand ideas. You are negotiating with someone, maybe for money, an investor, and all of that. Then you better use NDAs. That's non-disclosure agreements, so that your brand is intact. Then, like I said earlier, there has to be a connection between the brand and marketing department and legal. Of course, use of NDAs, licensing agreements, and then once you see that somebody is trying to infringe on your mark, you write a cease and desist letter to stop that trademark infringement. Trademark registration costs vary, but they are a worthwhile investment. They are part of the costs of your business. Then the timeline will depend on the country where you are filing. And of course, getting a good lawyer to do it for you is one of the best decisions. So let's quickly look at the cases as I begin to round up. Of course, we've looked at the case of the Paystack and Zap Africa and the lessons that we have learned regarding it, that you register your trademarks early, you monitor your industry trademarks, and then you are legally prepared. There is another one, Farm Milk and Mandarin Oriental Services. So Farm Milk, the owners of the frozen dairy foods, you know how it is, the shape of the fan and device. They registered in classes 29 and 30. Meanwhile, Mandarin Hotel Services, they operate luxury hotels globally. They applied for the fan device and they applied in classes 36 and 43. 36 has to do with financial services, 43 has to do with hotels. So Farm Milk now said, no, you cannot, because it is similar to our fan and device. And there will be the likelihood of confusion with people, and they will think that we are the same, because if the Farm Milk maintained that the mark was phonetically, visually, and orally similar. So Mandarin Hotels now said, no, Farm Milk cannot lay claim to the fan and device since they were different classes. And Mandarin said that they were even offering services. The classes that Farm Milk registered were the classes of goods, so that they were clearly different. So there was no possibility of confusion. And what did the court say? The court said that if Farm Milk actually knew that that mark was very important to them, then they would have filed a defensive mark that is in all classes, so that nobody else will be able to file. So the lesson is register trademarks early and in specific classes of your trade or commerce. File a defensive application for your marks if you do not want others to use it or dilute it. Then be legally prepared. Another case is Mondelez. Mondelez sued Aldi over lookalike products and packaging. And the battle was Aldi is an alternative product supplier, and they had the slogan like brands only cheaper. So they also, they would do something slightly looking like the big brands. So Mondelez now filed a suit saying that they were copying their distinctive packaging and they were infringing on their valuable reputation and goodwill. You see, because that is actually what you are protecting. Your brand is your goodwill. And Mondelez claimed that Aldi's packaging is so similar to theirs, and people would think that the two of them are the same. So they accused Aldi of willful trade dress infringement. What is the lesson? Register your trademarks early and in the specific classes. Then do not copy brands for your product or service, as you might be liable to damages. And payment of damages can ruin your businesses completely, because when you have to pay for damages and monetary damages and punitive damages, that could be a lot. It could cost a lot. So these are other cases. Bicham versus General Nutrition. The trademark registration is key to maintaining industry exclusivity. Bicham Group challenged General Nutrition over branding rights for pharmaceutical products, reinforcing the need to secure trademarks within specific industries to avoid overlapping brand identities. Then Adenuga versus Ilesomi Press. That one was on copyright infringement and unauthorized reproduction. Of course, you would tell me how many books that we do photocopy of and all of that. If it is for commercial purpose, then that's an infringement. Especially people who do photocopies and sell, that is wrong. Urban pharmacy and selling products, also the pharmaceutical sector frequently encounters trademark clashes, and the clash on brand registration. Teddy Holdings and INEC, when they claimed that INEC was infringing on their patented electronic voting technology. So, safeguarding innovation, key IP lessons for African businesses. One, early registration, that cannot really be underscored. Businesses should register trademarks, copyright, designs, and patents early to avoid disputes. Market research and IP searches. Companies must conduct thorough searches before launching brands to avoid conflicts. Then enforcement and protection. IP holders must actively monitor and enforce their rights to prevent unauthorized use. Legal consequences. IP disputes can lead to lengthy litigation, financial loss, and damage to brand credibility. These cases illustrate the evolving landscape of IP law in Nigeria and, of course, Africa, showing how businesses, both large and small, must prioritize brand protection. These are examples of marks that are similar. Phonetical similarity, copycat, even though there's K here, there's C here, but they sound the same. Then appearance, copycat. Hardly, if you don't look well, would you know the T and the R. Then meaning, sly copycat, sneaky copycat. Then look at this one, Stars Coffee. And this is the symbol of Starbucks. These are confusingly similar. Then Puma. These are, things that you just have to. And then look at this. This was the Mondelez and the Aldi one. Now you tell me, if you go to any shop and you see this, in all honesty, how many of us are so detailed to see is Nilla and vanilla? Reeds, round. Nutter butter, peanut butter cream. Wheat things, thin wheat. Oreo, original. So you can see how so confusingly similar they are. So, in conclusion, my advice to you, take action today. Your brand is more than a name. It's your legacy, your reputation, your livelihood, Don't wait until it's too late to protect it. Start today, secure your identity, and build a business that stands the test of time. Before the end of this session, or as we round up, write down one action you will take to protect your brand. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I guess we can have questions and answers. Fikayo, over to you. Am I still being heard?
Wow, thank you so much. This is Hannah.
Okay,
I
ma'am.
think that it looks it's as though Fikayo has been thrown out. Her network has not been steady. Yeah, so I'm not sure she's back in the room. Kelechi, I know you are there, but I mean, you are very right. Thank you and very well done. Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, would you let's come in and just celebrate and thank our speaker, our guest today, who's done justice to this conversation. But certainly we'll have questions. Either you've written them, if you haven't written any question, that's fine, you can ask the question. So what you do is just indicate, let's see your hand up so you can ask your questions. I have like 2 questions while we're waiting for somebody to ask the question. The very first question is, thank you for the explanation. To be honest, I'm sure maybe to 50% of us or 30%, some of this is just, permit the use of my word, too rangy, as in, because as SMEs, once we think of legal items and some of these technical mandates, and it's our bad, we tend to want to like push it aside and hope nothing wrong is going to happen. Yeah, as SMEs, we're more interested in make the money, produce the product, do it, and just make the money and keep going. So I think the call out for us as entrepreneurs is we need to pay attention to certain aspects of our business. And this is one of the elements. Okay, so back to my question, my dear sister, is to say, speaking to trademarks, which we've spoken to extensively, and the point of different classes. Number one challenge is, like you noted, not many lawyers understand all of these details. We know that there are specialized trademark lawyers, but as entrepreneurs, what is the affordability? Because now you're saying, you know what, it's better you be in the right classes, not even one class, classes. What is the idea of the rates of the cost? And I hear you that yeah, it's part of your production. But wearing the heart of an entrepreneur, and especially a micro business, this person is going to have to, kind of, because he or she is managing many variables. I hope I'm speaking your mind. Ask Hannah community, SMEs. So question is, how do you, number one, how do you identify, and we are glad you are here and you are an expert who understand it. How do we ensure that we are not dealing with lawyers that can you also want to trademark, yes, and we've had that bad experience before. You just trademark, you don't know anything about classes. As somebody collects money and say, we've done the trademark for you. It would take an expert like yourselves to look at it and say, it's in the wrong classification or it's not exhaustive. So what is the way to ensure that it's not tearing our purse and our pockets? Because to start with, as SMEs, you're managing a lot of items. That's the first question.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma. And I really, honestly, I agree with you, because a lot of people just want to collect money and they run away. And one just has to be careful. Once you ask the question, and you are not being given the right answers. And of course, I know you would ask me, how do I know the right answer? It is by saying that to even know what you want to protect. Is it a copyright? Is it trademark? Is it patent? Is it design? You really need to know which is which. And honestly, it's a tough one in Nigeria to be able to identify who a trademark or an IP lawyer is, because You find that a lot of people will tell you they do. In fact, I will tell you for free also that you have touts who will do it. In fact, they will tell you, come and patent your mark. Come and patent. And I'm like, what are you? You don't patent mark. You trademark. And they mix up everything. But to register one trademark in one class that is relevant to you, it's 110. But when we were asked to make this presentation, the management decided to say that, okay, for the fact that you have attended this session and we will hold you down till end of June, we will give you 10% on our professional fees. Mark my words, professional fees. We will give you 10% off on that. We're able to do that for you for the fact that you attended this Ask Anna. Just you have to tell us, oh, I attended Ask Anna, and we will hold it down till June 30th. That we will do for you. Everything inclusive of searching and registration and all of that. That we will do for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, please go ahead. All right. Okay. So you've
Okay, so
answered
I
that.
think, I think there are some questions in the group. I'd just like to read them out if you can hear me clearly, ma.
Okay, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think Mrs. Agbones Igewe says, how much does it cost to file for trademark? I think you probably answered that just now also, but she's asking for the
Yes.
cost and how long does it take?
With respect to the length of time, so there is, of course, because we work with regulators, when you instruct us to file today, you will get your acknowledgement notice today that we have filed. Now, between the time that we file, it takes between 4 to 6 weeks. It will be examined by the examiner at the registry, and then you will have your notice of acceptance. Now, when it has been accepted, we now queue it up for publication. And that we do not have control over. For that one, it is the registry. Now, I will show you a copy of the publication. I will show it to you now. This is how big it is. I hope you can see. And this is
Not
the
yet. We
first.
haven't seen it.
We
We've
didn't
only
say
seen your
No.
Q&A session. Maybe you need to change the exit
Okay.
this and then.
I'm showing it by video. As in,
Oh.
can you see me?
Oh, we are not. You're still sharing your slide. Can you quit your slideshow?
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry.
Aha, good.
Okay. So this
We
is
are not
what.
seeing you though. It's dark. It's black.
Oh, really?
Can you? Okay, you can't flip your. All right. We didn't notice this earlier. It's dark. We are not seeing you. I suspect.
Yeah.
I suspect that
Oh,
you're
Oh, so
supposed
you
to
didn't see
change
my
your
video
camera.
at all throughout?
No, we haven't seen it at all.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, no wahala. Thank you.
Oh.
Yes, there we go.
I'm
You
sorry.
Now we see you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
That's
sorry.
fine.
It's from my end. I am sorry. So this is what a trademark journal looks like. This bulky, and this is the first that has issued this year. So you can imagine this is May and this is June already, and this issued in May. So we don't have control over publication. And it is when it is published, there is a statutory wait, mandatory statutory wait of 2 months after the publication. So you can imagine after it has been accepted, we wait until the registry puts everything together to publish, and they determine the time. Then we wait another 2 months for opposition in case there's a third party that might want to oppose for one reason or the other. And after the opposition period is now when we will now proceed to registration certificate. Now, a lot of people, especially people who want to file NAFDAC, once they get notice of acceptance, oh, they will tell you, I have certificate. No, You don't have the registration certificate yet. That's not the registration certificate. That is just to tell you that it has been accepted. That's one leg. It can be accepted and yet be opposed during the notice of opposition or during the opposition period. So plus or minus, if everything works well, which it shouldn't take more than max 6 months. But because things don't usually work well, if we are having to wait until May before a journal is issued, you can imagine there have been backlog of applications and they did not publish everything. Most of what we have in this journal were applications filed in 2024. And you can imagine this is June already. We have filed application from January 2025. So that's how it keeps piling up and piling up and piling up. So really and truly, we cannot put a fixed time to it, that this is the time that it will end. And then some of the people also, they will tell you, oh, we'll file for you, they collect your money and they go, and they will not produce the registration certificate. You won't find them again. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think it does. I think it does. I think there's one more question here that says, okay, hi, I'm Miracle. My question is, if you didn't renew your business name for some period of time, would that cause you to lose the name of your business or your business name? I think that's what she meant.
So when you talk about renewal of your business name, I want to presume that you have registered it as a trademark. Now, if you don't renew it, what the law says is that the registrar is at liberty to remove it from the register, although the current registrar, or rather, they have not been doing that in practical terms, but there is a provision of it in the law. So you never know when a Pharaoh that does not know Joseph will wake up and they will start. So for you to continue to have the exclusivity, it's advisable that you renew.
Okay, I think that answers that. See some more questions here. I'm just trying to scroll down. Then this is from Oyikonsola Adebisi. In the context of evolving digital marketing, how are trademark strategies adapting to address issues like online brand impersonation and the protection of trademarks in virtual environments like metaverse? Wow.
Okay, very, very, very valuable question. For online and whatever you create online, what I would advise you to do is to watermark your. I mean, I remember one day we were watching something, and my husband was like, why is this person putting his name there? Is it the only one? I said, no, because this is his property, so he has to protect it. And that's why he has branded it with his name. And talk about online impersonation. Of course, watermark it indelibly so that nobody can copy whatever it is that is your own. And in all virtual environments like that, that's how you identify yours, and that's how you distinguish your own from what another person has created.
Okay, thank you very much, man.
Yeah.
I think there's the last question. Okay, no, okay, I think it's second to the last. This one is from Bingpe Ishola. Says, oh, thank you, Ma, for the well-articulated requirements for legalizing and protecting our brand. Now, what is your advice regarding, I think she has like two questions in one. What's your advice regarding one, in order to avoid the stress of taxes and so many agencies that are interested in a limited liability company, would you recommend a sole proprietorship for an SME? That's the first part of the question. Do you want to answer that?
Can
I'll
I
take
take
the
that?
second part. Yes, you can take that. So I'll take the
Let
second.
me take that.
Yes.
As much as a sole proprietorship is cheap and it is variable, the disadvantages are enormous. You may start small but you must not remain small. For example, we have a client who started as a business name, an SME, and by the time started growing in the second year, it's converted to limited liability. And it's doing very well now, very, very well now. So you can start as a sole proprietorship, but when you have the aim of growing and enlarging, then you need to become a limited liability.
That's true. That's good. The second part says, if I choose to register both a sole proprietorship and a limited liability company, can I actively use my sole proprietorship for my brand business until I grow my business sufficiently and evolve into a limited liability, which is what you're pretty sure what you just alluded to just now. Yeah, I
Exactly.
think that
Yeah.
answers that. Yeah. I think the last question. Okay, well, I think there's another one that says, "What is the risk of?" This is from David Dem. What is the risk of running my business with a NAFDAC registration but no trademark registration?
How did you get NAFDAC registration without trademark registration? They must have given you something that is not correct. Because for you to have NAFDAC, I can tell you for free, NAFDAC will never give approval without trademark.
Sure.
You must at least have gotten notice of acceptance. It's
Yeah.
one of the crucial requirements for NAFDAC. So go and check.
Yeah.
Go and check.
Okay, I think the last question here is from Bimpe Shola. She says, is trademark registration required for a sole proprietorship that is service-oriented, training in particular?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's for everybody. Whether you're a business name, whether you're a limited liability company, it is your own product. It is what you are producing, what you're selling.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's the last question, except if we have anybody from the room that wants to ask additional questions, but those are the questions that were put on the chat group. If we have any other person that wants to just ask a question in the house, please just raise your hand or something. Or you can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, so thank you. Let me ask the last question. Since that we are all doing well, I'm sure in the next 15 minutes we'll be fine. We'll be done. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just give us a few more minutes. This question has to do with is with somebody I know who just mentioned this to me some time ago, not too long ago, but it's a good place to ask. So he has a business in Nigeria and he has a design, that is the logo. The logo, and this business is about like 20 years. But he said 5 years into that operation, he saw a similar logo, but in another industry. So let's assume he's in food, agric, and then he found this maybe in insurance, you know. And it's as though he's not sure, he wasn't sure, but it's as though that one was already on, before his own. The names are different, but the designs are very close, almost the same. So on his 20th, and they've been there for a long time. So question now is, should he be bothered about that or he shouldn't just worry?
Well, there might be a bit of a worry in the sense that in future it could cause an issue, more so that was saying something with respect to, he wasn't sure whether his was the first or theirs. Now, there are some logos that people get online. Some of them are free to use. So it depends. It could be that both of them sourced it from the same place. But the way that he can further distinguish his own is probably to maybe add something else to it, maybe make an addition, like assuming there is a sign now that both of us are using, I could just decide to maybe further distinguish mine by adding my first name. I could do a Lide, whatever, with the sign, with the logo so that it differentiates mine from that is in another industry. That's one. Then two also is if he has not protected this, he should please go protect it in that class. More so that if the other person is maybe a big company that could have the money to maybe do defensive registration or something, to probably overrun what he's doing. And like you rightly said, it's 20 years, and the company for 20 years, has come a long way, and he would not want to toy with the brand that he has been using.
All right, thank you very much. I think it's a very good answer. All right, thank you very much. I think somebody, I'm jumping here because of time. Let me jump in here to say, I think my coach is in the room, Coach Shola, and mentor, really. And she's asked, I think she's just asked to say, how will they enjoy the discount you have shared if you will need us to endorse them, if they are coming to you, and some other person has asked to say they need to get your details. And I've said that we would, if you share your details here, please, would you put your telephone number here? If you are not on the Ask Hannah page group, just leave your telephone number and name. I think it's easier that way. We want to be careful also how we expose or give our details, the details of our faculties to just people, very important. So if you leave your telephone number and your name here, it will be very nice. We'll add you to the Ask Hannah community, all right? Yes, so what you do is, yes, it's even nice. Ms. Adeyemo already left her telephone number, which I was also going to ask us to do. But for you to enjoy the benefits she's asked for, I think she already said once you say it's from Ask Hannah, you enjoy it. I mean, we are people of integrity, and that would be good. All right, thank you very much. All right, is there any other? Fikayo, yes, please, back to you now.
All right, thank you very much, Ma. So much, Mrs. Adeyemo. We really appreciate the lecture. So if you are interested in joining,
I'm so sorry. Fikayo, sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to jump in. I thought I was forgetting something. Some other person asked a very important question, and I replied him to say it's out of scope. It has to do with tax. And I'm like, this is, and I've said to that person, to that individual, we will consider this in future webinars. Yes. Yes, it's a beautiful question this person has to say. If I default, I know how do I? We need to bring in an expert in that area since it's important to us. And many of us are there. We have tax liabilities, and I know it's really challenging. We have to bring somebody there. So that's the point there. All right, thank you very much. Go ahead. Go ahead, Fikayo. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ma. So for everyone, you can also join the community directly. The link is in the chat box. So once you join, the recording of the program will be sent to you as well. And then every inquiry you want to make concerning with Mrs. Adeyemo's team will also direct everything to you there. So in case there's no other question, I think we are done. Yes. Yes, I believe we are done.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Rounding us up, I want to thank everyone who's coming to join. We haven't done badly at all. At the earliest, we were not having so many registrations. I'm like, what's happening? People don't want to hear legal stuff. They are hungry. Nigerians, a lot is going on. And people are like, regulation. Let's not talk about anything. Trademark. No, let's even eat first. But thank you that you finally made it here, and it's been very illuminating. Thank you, Mrs. Adeyemo. Definitely, we will. Yes, I'm sure many of us will reach you directly to see how we secure our intellectual properties or how we cash out on them. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Yes, thank you. And do have a good Friday and the weekend. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the Ask Hannah community very shortly. Thank you, my sister. Thank you, everybody. Let's have a good evening. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you, Fikayo. Bye. 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 Bye.